We are going to be recording this meeting as the Puget neighborhood. The goal behind it is because in person people can show up to a meeting. In the past, like that's what was able to occur. After COVID, it kind of switched to Zoom. My goal as the Puget neighborhood president over time is to kind of increase turnout for neighborhood meetings. We could go to an in-person venue in the future, but I actually think it's probably more accessible if it's done electronically. But at the same time, if people actually, so there's somebody else that wants to join. If we actually do it where it's recorded and it's presented like just on our website and YouTube and Facebook channel or whatever, then I think that people who have interest will be interested enough to show up to the next one and contribute and stuff. So that's kind of, I hope that's okay. And I am recording it. So just letting you know.
I think that's a good idea.
Okay. So the first thing we have on our agenda for tonight is the treasurer report. So do we have our treasurer here?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay,
Yes.
I was muted. I'm sorry. Yeah, our balance is $1,933.03. We had US Postal Service was $232. And we had to file with the state, and that was $20.
Okay.
Thank you, Terry.
And just out of curiosity, because I'm new to this position as well as president of the neighborhood association. So where does the money even come from? And like, are there like government grants or something, or is there like people who donate? Like, I don't know where the income / output is coming from or going. Like, well, so I'm just curious.
Actually, it's not coming in now.
Right. It's just what we have over time. It's just,
yeah, it's been dues. People pay a certain amount each month. I mean, each year. And we haven't had any except for one person for this year and last year.
Okay. Oh, okay. So it's actual neighborhood association dues.
It's actually because it's nonprofit, it's a voluntary donation.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that. That's good to know. And thanks for letting me know. I'm just there's new people hopping in. So okay. So the next thing we have on our agenda is the Bellingham Pedestrian Master Plan update. And I know that Liza wanted to, is that how you pronounce it, Liza, or is it Lisa? Or
Liza? It's Liza, yeah.
Oh, okay. So Liza wanted me to have her share her screen. So I will.
I'll do that. Let's see if it works. I think it will.
Yeah, is it giving you that option?
Oh, it says host disabled participant screen sharing.
Okay, I didn't disable it, but I can enable it, I think.
Okay.
Okay, I don't know the specific option, so I'm just going to make you the host quick for now, and go ahead and share your screen.
Okay, I will do that. So now you all can see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, let me put it in slideshow presentation mode. Okay, there we go. So my name is Liza Higby Robinson, and my mom is also in attendance. Her name is Janet Higby Robinson. We both live, but at different addresses. We both live in the Puget neighborhood, and we're both members of the walk and roll. Why is it on a timer? Oh gosh, stop it. Sorry. I don't know what's going on. I have to figure this out. I'm on my husband's laptop. I'm not sure why it was on a timer. Okay. I will keep it out of presentation mode. I think it'll work better if it's not hopping around. Okay, so we're both neighbors. We both live in the Puget neighborhood, and we're also both members of Walk and Rolls pedestrian master plan work group. So there's, and I'll talk a little bit more later on about what walk and roll is and does in our community. But our primary reason for sharing about this is to talk about what the city is doing actually right now with updating the pedestrian master plan. And then soon following, once they complete that process, they'll be working on updating the bicycle master plan. So this is a unique moment because these plans, they were created 10 years ago. So it was 2012 when the pedestrian master plan was adopted by Bellingham City Council, and it was 2014 when the bicycle master plan was. So 10 years later, they're in a review process to make updates to bring them in alignment with what we now desire our city to be. So it's a unique moment when the city is really paying attention and actively engaging with residents to hear about our pain points, walking and biking and getting around, moving about our neighborhoods and city. So now through summer of 2023, the city will be updating these two plans. They're mode specific plans that establish a citywide pedestrian and bicycle network. The plan also identifies and recommends improved needs, applies community identified priorities, and develops a fiscally constrained list of projects for the future. And the process entails what the city describes as extensive public input to inform the plan updates. And the degree to which the city's engagement is extensive, I would question, but that's the city's, it maybe is more aspirational than actual. But anyway, this is the moment to engage the city in these plans. Currently, the city is focused on updating the pedestrian plan, and when it completes that process, it's also behind what its own timeline is, which is the next slide. It'll then move on to working on a set of updates for the bicycle plan. So here's the timeline, and it's really tiny. You can't really see the words, and they're behind, but this green part here at the very beginning, which was supposed to take place spring, summer of 2022, it's the discovery plan. And our transportation planner, Chris Como, he told us in an email that the city is still actually in the discovery stage for the pedestrian plan. So they haven't yet gotten into what they said that they would be doing in the fall, which was synthesizing findings that they get out of their engagement process. And I think it is in part due to they just haven't done enough engagement yet. They haven't heard from us enough to be in that stage. And currently the city's actual hope is to have completed the pedestrian plan around February of 2023, whereas they're a little behind. And then at that point they'll shift and do the whole process again, but looking at the bicycle plan. And then with the goal to adopt revised plans, updated plans, summer of 2023. So that's what the city is up to. And we'll share some ways that y'all can engage with the process if you're interested soon. First, I'm going to jump to talking about Walk and Roll. And so it's a local nonprofit organization, advocacy oriented, but also does community events and hosts bike rides in the community that are accessible and conversational, kind of like community oriented. So Walk and Roll is a local nonprofit formed of volunteers working to inform, educate, and mobilize Bellingham neighbors for safe, comfortable, equitable, and healthy streets, connecting us to the places we want to go, whether we walk, pedal a bike, push a stroller, ride a longboard, or move by wheelchair. The mission of Walk and Roll is to create a safer, healthier, more livable city by improving and expanding our active transportation system through policy, infrastructure, and awareness. So active transportation, that's referring to walking, biking, busing, getting around via modes that aren't cars. So it's a catch-all phrase for those modes that are not automobiles. this is the website, and I can share this slideshow with anyone who's interested. If you just put your email in the chat, I can share this slideshow. It has a lot of links that you might be interested in and ways that you can reach out to specific people at the city if you want to share your comments with them. This could be a helpful resource just because it's loaded with links and emails and stuff like that. So that's Walk and Roll, and Walk and Roll has two little work groups right now. One that is focused on formulating recommendations to try to influence what's happening with updating the pedestrian plan. And then there's another separate work group that has that same orientation, but around the bicycle master plan. These are the three kind of primary recommendations Walk and Roll has offered to the city at this point. And so I'll just read them. The first is speed reduction to save lives, reduce speeds to 20 miles per hour on all residential streets, review current speed limits on other streets to assess pedestrian safety, and incorporate design strategies to achieve reduced speeds. Because it's not enough to label miles per hour. You have to do something to get people going at those speeds. The second is to prioritize safe routes to schools and trails. So our greenways, complete projects within the 1 mile walk sheds of all local schools. So all of the local Bellingham public schools, they refer to a mile as a bird flies, as a crow flies around their school. Those students that live within a mile of their school, they should be walking or riding a bike to get to school according to the school. So they don't send buses to students who live within a mile of their school. So prioritize making it safe for kids to get to their school to be in alignment with what the school's expectation is of students. And then the third is to prioritize pedestrian safety above all else, as pedestrians are the most vulnerable users of the streets. And all of us at some point in our days, if we're going anywhere, at some point, all of us are pedestrians, even if it's just that moment when we're getting out of our car and walking 25 feet into the store. So pedestrian comfort, safety, and connectivity should guide city prioritization and design of projects. Safe street design is more impactful than education and enforcement. It's just the case that when we design strategically for certain functions, then we get those functions. So when we design for safety, we end up with safety. Whereas like I can go out and talk about safety, and who's going to listen to me? Maybe one or two people. I don't know. Maybe all of you. So those are the three that Walk and Roll came up with. And this is a moment when you can reach out to the city and let them know what you think, what you believe, what you would like, what would make this city better for you to walk around. All right. The next slide, these are some upcoming engagement opportunities we wanted to just let y'all be aware of. On November 29th, on Engage Bellingham, and Engage Bellingham is, it's a part of the city's website, and it has there's always something that you can be engaging the city with, something that's ongoing, some kind of project. And there will be a story map live on Engage Bellingham focused on updating the pedestrian plan. Hopefully November 29th, that's what Chris Como says. On December 1st, there will be a virtual open house online. That's from 4 to 6 p.m. And you'd probably go to Engage Bellingham to get a link to that, to attend that open house. December 7th, there will be office hours hosted by the city. And this is to hopefully engage with folks that weren't able to attend the online open house, but that are interested in still engaging the city. So those hours are listed 12 to 1 p.m. and 4 to 5 p.m. And then all through December, there's an opportunity to review the pedestrian master plan, draft maps and documents, and submit feedback to the city. And the last slide in this presentation has links to the pedestrian master plan and those documents, so you can review them and you can submit feedback based on your review. The city's goal, as I mentioned already, is to wrap up public engagement by February and then move on to the bicycle master plan. Some other ways that you can engage the city is to reach out directly to our transportation planner, Chris Como. There's his email. He'd love to hear from you. Chad Scholhauser is the Assistant Director of Public Works. Works closely with Chris Como. You can check Engage Bellingham for opportunities for other moments to engage. And then you can also attend the Transportation Commission meetings. They happen on the second Tuesdays. And if you can't attend the meetings, you can also just submit comments to the Transportation Commission. So there's a link to their meetings, and you can also find, if you go to that link, just how to submit a comment to the Transportation Commission. If you're interested in the work that Walk and Roll is up to, there are always advocacy opportunities, community events, outings, and just the general meetings, an opportunity to get connected to people that are interested in these issues, and you can social network. So Walk and Roll, their general meetings, they happen on the third Tuesdays. They recently just had their first in-person general meeting in 2 years. And if that becomes the trend, they tend to rotate through different venues. So the best way to find out about where the next meeting is happening would be to go to their website and reach out to the board members. There's a contact us, and you just want to probably ask where the meeting is going to happen. But it's like this, it's usually an evening, and it's a Tuesday, the third one of the month. The last thing, my mom will share about this.
I'm sure as members of this neighborhood association, you participated in the survey about Lakeway, but it's happening now, and along Lincoln too, and it's millions and millions and millions of dollars of projects. But first to come from Puget Street to Ellis, so right by the school and by the freeway underneath it, is a bikeway on the north side, as it says, a two-way shared use pathway along the north side of Lakeway Drive between Puget Street and Ellis. So it's going to be major change. They're looking at making a roundabout, maybe you've heard, by the freeway. So that's going to be, or underneath the freeway, overpass designs on Lincoln, doing a road diet down to 3 lanes with bikeways. Fraser will be impacted. You've probably heard that the YMCA wants to have a facility, and the city said, oh, we've got to figure out the streets first to make it safe for more people, because it's a very high pedestrian fatality. We've had a fatality in the area, and we've had accidents with pedestrians. So we have to improve the area, and I just want you to be even more aware than you might have been prior. If you go into the link that my daughter made there, there's a lot. There's a video by Chris, and there's a new report that outlines all of these projects. I hadn't even been aware until this evening, the extent of it. But right now we're looking at Puget Street to Ellis on the north side.
And it's a long-term plan. It's not going to happen overnight. Chris said that it's very expensive, very complicated, and it's going to be years in the making, not a fast fix. But there's a plan for it at this point. And you can learn a lot more about it if you follow this link, as my mom said. Do you want to say anything else about that, Mom? Take that as a no. This last page is just resources. So many of these resources were on prior slides, and they're just compiled here in one spot. So it's the Walk and Roll website if you're interested. the City of Bellingham's project page where they talk about what they're doing with these plans right now. Then the emails to Chris Como and Chad. Transportation Commission meetings, Engage Bellingham, the pedestrian and bicycle master plans, and then the Lakeway Lincoln multimodal transportation study. So that's all I have to share. And if anyone has questions, I'm happy to try to answer questions or hear what you think.
I have one question. So
Yeah.
when you say a road diet, you're saying that this two-way bike lane on the north side would take away a lane of drivable traffic?
She was referring to a road diet happening on Lincoln, not Lakeway.
Oh,
On Lakeway,
okay.
They are going to be putting up it's going to be a multimodal pathway on one side of the street so that there's a safe space for people to ride bikes. Lakeway and Lincoln, both of those streets, they're main arteries for all of us, not just for folks that drive cars. So the reality is that there just aren't a lot of options for people to cross the city. If they're trying to get from point A to point B, and Lakeway is the main street to get them between. There are a few other options that are good options. Bike commuters, they want to go the direct way like anyone else does. So the city is, they're also not coming up with these plans by themselves. The plans reflect what engagement processes have brought into their purview. So the plans reflect what the residents of the Bellingham have asked for.
Oh, okay, yeah, no, the only thing, like from my perspective, like I'm just spitballing here, but the only thing from my perspective that I have some concerns about is if the city continues to grow and plenty of people still have cars, and they will have cars, then if you cut off a lane of traffic, won't that maybe cause traffic congestion? Even though, like, I agree that the anybody who bikes or walks needs to have a safe option as well. But couldn't that result in a situation where you just have like a constant traffic jam as more cars are coming in and you've cut off a lane of traffic for cars that they currently have right now?
Well,
Well,
it's also hoping that
public
people won't
transit
drive
and
as much.
walk and bike.
Sorry, what? Both of you were talking at the same time, so I
Sorry.
couldn't.
There's not space for, it's not sustainable to envision as this city grows just more and more and more and more and more and more and more cars. It's just not, there is not physical space to create the 8 lane wide roads that would enable that kind of traffic volume. Like Lakeway is not I-5. We don't need to envision a future where Lakeway is treated like I-5. And I think it's dangerous and so I think the city's goal, if you go to the plan, you should read their plan the plan, and their goal is to get people to do these other modes. And that can't happen until there's design for it. Currently, the city is not hospitable to these other modes. It isn't comfortable, it isn't safe, and it isn't convenient to ride a bus in Bellingham. You're never going to have ridership go up until you start taking transit-oriented design principles to heart and implementing them. And you're never going to have people riding bikes unless you have multimodal paths that make it safe for them to do that conveniently from where they live to where they're going. And so that's not the Bellingham we live in right now. And that's the direction the city is steering towards.
Right. No, but I was just saying, like, mechanically, like, we could try to encourage people to not use cars anymore, but if they actually don't stop using cars, which I don't think they will stop using cars. If they have one, they want it and they'll keep using it. And then you cut off a lane of traffic, you could result in a situation in which you will have a constant traffic jam even during non-rush hour. I'm not saying we need to have an 8-lane road, but like just like that could be a problem that occurs. And again, like I've been without a car for a few years every once in a while myself. And I actually always rode my bike, even when it was on the sidewalk or on the road. Or I actually don't like riding in the road. I'd rather ride on the sidewalk. I know that that's technically, I actually prefer the sidewalk even to the bike lanes, because I don't know if somebody driving behind me is going to swerve and hit me, and the sidewalk feels safer to me. But that's just me. But in any case, whenever I rode a bike throughout town, I could always get there faster than the bus. And so I hate the bus. I don't like riding the bus at all, personally.
Yeah.
Like, it's not fun. It takes forever. There's like so many stops. It stops every like couple feet, and you just are like, man, I just want to go where I want to go. And so when I rode a bike, I just was able to get anywhere faster than a bus. But with the cars, though, you know, if you cut off a whole lane, though, you know, they've always said that adding more lanes doesn't reduce traffic, but
It doesn't.
But if you cut off but if you do that in reverse and you cut off lanes, it makes traffic worse, though. It actually congests.
The city has cut off lanes already in places, and it hasn't made traffic worse. So I think we have a lot of fears guiding us, and they're not always it's not always the truth. Like, traffic is not worse where they've done a road diet on Samish. It's not.
Right, but maybe that area might be a specific area where it doesn't affect it. I don't know. I'm not trying to say.
I have to give my kid water. Sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm not trying to say that anybody's like right or wrong here. I'm just saying, like, logically, like, you know, if you have more lanes or fewer lanes, that probably does affect traffic. Like, I mean, either way. I'm just saying, I mean, of course, whether you want to emphasize or force people to not use cars, get people to walk and use the bus or bike instead, that's a totally valid question. But because you're saying the actual goal, you're saying the actual goal of the city, though, you're actually saying that the goal of the city is to get people to, like, they are currently driving cars, and to get them to say, you know what, I'll take the bus, you know what, I'll bike instead. And so the best way to do that,
make it more comfortable.
Right. So the best way to do that,
options.
right?
The city wants that, and people are asking for that. It's not just the city planners; it's also the people that live here are asking for this.
Right. No, I get it. So, but what I'm saying is that, but what you're saying is, like, if you make driving a car very inconvenient, and like it's always crowded, and like, man, it's going to take me forever to drive my car, that will get people to say, you know what, I'll leave my car and I'll actually ride my bike, because it'll get there faster than a car. Because that's what would happen if
people will not ride their bikes on Lakeway without bike lanes. You will not get moms with their kids. I will not ride my bike on Lakeway with my son. It is a death threat. So I think the traffic can get worse on Lakeway, and I will never ride on Lakeway until there's a path for me. The sidewalks are not where I belong. They're also very narrow on Lakeway.
Right.
That's where people should be able to walk. I don't need to become a safety hazard to pedestrians on the sidewalk, because there's no space for me on the street. So anyway, I don't want to get into a fight on Zoom.
No, I wasn't fighting.
We came so that the neighbors know that this engagement process is happening. This is an opportunity for everyone to engage the city. I totally understand. I don't have any decision-making authority. I don't get to decide. If I had decision-making authority, I tell you, this city would be different. I don't have that authority, and you would maybe disagree with some of the decisions that I would make anyway. That's the sense I get. But that's not why we're here anyway. We're here just simply to let you know this is happening, and it's a moment when you can engage with the city and let them know what you think.
Right. I
wanted to share about that project because it's happening, and it's happening in the Puget neighborhood. Yeah,
no, and I didn't think this was a fight. Like, I'm just like, so you were talking about engagement. I'm engaging, so I'm actually just responding.
Yeah, but I'm not the person to engage, you know, because I didn't make the plan.
But this is a neighborhood, so we can engage about it as a neighborhood. This is the neighborhood association meeting, right? So can't we all engage? Can't we all talk about it? Can't we all present our point of view freely and openly? What's the problem? There's no problem.
It's okay. Not a problem. It feels a little.
No, you were talking about a fight, and I'm not fighting. I'm just saying my point of view. I could be totally wrong. My point of view could be totally and 100% wrong. But I always enjoy a healthy debate. So that's the only reason why I'm responding to you in what you've presented. That's it. I hope that's okay. Okay, so is that it? Are you guys done, or are we gonna, or does anybody else have anything to say about this before we move on to the next thing? Yeah.
Keith,
Hi.
there you go.
Yeah, I'm Keith Moore. I'm actually a Transportation Commission member. And I came basically to listen, although I'm part of the neighborhood and I do actually ride on Lakeway. I do it with very great care, but it's a bad place. And it's all constricted, as has been described. But I think that what I want to contribute here is to take a look at the plans that are being put in place for Lincoln, from back into Samish, down to the freeway entrance, and then across, and then Lakeway, from Puget down to Ellis. I mean, it is a disaster that was created by the freeway years and years ago, and there's no easy way around it. So we're going to have to find ways to compromise in multiple fashions. The current plan, I think, has been well thought out in a lot of ways. There are a number of issues that will have to be negotiated as it moves forward. But I think this neighborhood needs to be quite aware of what's happening to it. It's going to happen. I mean, it's happening all around town. Other associations have been quite vociferous in trying to stop certain types of changes on arteries that aren't going to be moved. The arteries are there. So how do we transform those arteries into much more viable transportation modes for all of us? Really, it is very important to take a look at those plans in detail, and it's not going to be done in a half hour or an hour. You have to actually study them for a few hours and say, oh, now I get what this is after 3 or 4 hours. Honestly, there is a lot of transformation that is being proposed, and it's going to take years to do it. So there's time, but you gotta put your inputs in earlier, not later. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Just a question, Lisa or Keith or either. Whatcom Transportation, WTA, are they involved with this at all in the planning? They are. Okay.
Yes, they are. We have a representation on transportation from WTA, and there's conscious effort to try and work in some of those things. And WTA is also developing some longer range types of transportation plans that might provide alternatives that are more palatable for those that that don't enjoy buses.
Well, they're very currently what they run isn't much different than what they were running 40 years ago here. I mean, in terms of their fixed route and having a little bit of background in transportation. There's other services I'm hoping they'll look at. So I'll take a look and see what they're, looking at, because right now it's a very pretty traditional system. Not saying that's bad, it just doesn't reach out to a lot of the neighborhoods that are out there. Thank you.
Right. This is, can I add a piece here?
Yeah, Anne had her hand raised.
Yeah. This is Teresa. I can't share my camera. I'm sharing a computer and we have really narrow bandwidth trying to run 2 different meetings here. So this is Teresa, and I just wanted to say one thing to Don is that WTA is doing a study right now, or they're just starting, for looking at bus rapid transit and how to make that happen. and where to make that happen in Bellingham. So that's, I think they're starting that up rather soon, or if not 2023. But Doug, going to your point about the road diet is a bad phrase that the state highway departments have used, and they're trying to get it changed to call it a road buffet, because who likes diets, right? And so a road buffet means there's something there for everybody. And that's the point of doing that kind of a reallocation of space. And they usually don't only max them out at like about 23,000 vehicles on a road. So that's why there is not a road diet proposed for Lakeway, because those numbers are higher than, I think I want to say last I heard they were 26 or 27,000. But everything that Liza and Janet were talking about is actually in our neighborhood plan. So when we updated that plan 10 years ago, we put in all those, identified all those locations, or most, I shouldn't say all, but many of those locations that are now in the pedestrian plan, we identified first when we updated the Puget neighborhood plan. So those are definitely coming from the neighborhood to say, we want to be able to walk across, get across this intersection, and we're having trouble doing that. And some things have been added because of the neighborhood talking about that. So some of those lighted crossings have been talked about. And so that's why that infrastructure is there. So that's why it's super important for neighborhood people to say, this is a specific area where I have a specific problem. Like I can't get across the street, or, you know, drivers are turning on the right on red, and, you know, I'm afraid for my life because I don't know if they're going to see me at that corner, that kind of thing. So I just want to underline the importance of talking about what are the problems that we have, that we've identified, and that list of projects is being prioritized right now. And so that's going to be that's what's going to be looked at that open house, is what are the priorities based on the criteria that has been updated. So super important to check that out. So anyway, I just want to say kudos to all the people that are working on it.
Mhm.
And we did really good work 10 years ago too.
Cool. Sounds good. Okay, so unless there is anything more on this pedestrian master plan, if there is, I welcome anybody to speak. If not, I will move on to the next part of our agenda. Okay, so the next thing we got on our agenda is a Swift Haven tiny home village / Unity Village update. Full disclosure, I'm the president of the neighborhood association, but I am also chairman of Homes Now Not Later. We manage 2 out of the 3 tiny home villages in Bellingham. Swift Haven, the tiny home village that's at Frank Jerry Field's parking lot, upper field parking lot, and Unity Village down in Fairhaven, right next to the Post Point sewer treatment plant. Swift Haven has recently been approved in March for a 2-year-long permit to stay at our current site. The city did add a number of conditions on us for this permit that we have not had to do before. And they do continue to add more conditions all the time, but we have maintained and done okay. Some of these conditions include like making sure that requiring every resident who lives at the village to sign up for the housing pool with the Opportunity Council / coordinated entry. And for those who don't know what coordinated entry is a HUD level policy that is implemented at our state level by the Washington State Department of Commerce. And it's sort of a set of guidelines that is supposedly a referral process. And the city has kind of teased in the past that they might require us to join coordinated entry as Homes Now, which we do not want to do, because what that would actually do is that would cause us to lose control of our own application and enrollment process. So right now, if somebody wants to get into one of the villages and live there, they simply apply on our website or show up in person and fill out either a paper form or fill out a form on the computer at one of our locations, or online. And then we do our own interview process. Just so people know about Homes Now, we are 100% volunteer organization. Our villages are resident run, resident managed, meaning that the people who live at the village are the people who run the village, and staff the site entirely. So if you need a spot and you can live there, but you have to take part in helping to run the place. That includes, like, a couple hours at the front desk to help people with donations coming in. That includes basic household chores, and that includes the willingness for you to actually be continuing to look for long-term housing, because we are technically classified as shelter, although we try to make the shelter as much like a housing situation as possible. So everybody does have their own individual unit. They have their own key. They work together as roommates to keep the site running safely and effectively. The city's municipal code only used to allow for 2 years for a tiny home village to exist. They've recently increased that to 5 years. Swift Haven has been in operation since December of 2020. And so almost 2 years now. It's kind of hard for me to believe that we've been there for 2 years, but 1 month from now, we will have been there for 2 years. And it's been a big help to people who need a place to stay. We need more of this. There are the base camp is full. Most of the shelters are full. We are full. So both of our villages are totally full. We are the second largest shelter operator in town behind the Lighthouse Mission, not in terms of budget, but in terms of capacity. So we shelter around 50 people total between our two villages. We do not take government money per se. We have ridden the wave a little bit. So what I mean by that is, at Swift Haven, for example, the city does pay for the porta potties and the garbage collection and the electricity and water, like just those utilities. But as far as like day-to-day supplies and managing and operating the site, we pay for that ourselves. At Unity Village, our other village, it's a little different. We actually do pay all of our own utilities for the whole site. We opened Swift Haven back when there was a big camp at City Hall a few years ago, because the shelters were full, everything was full, and we had the skill set to open a village. We knew we could operate a site safely and effectively, but we were worried about overextending ourselves financially. So when I spoke to the mayor, he said that deal was amicable, of that they would pay for those basic utilities. And by the way, the cost of that monthly is about $1,500 to $2,000 a month to cover all utilities for the whole site. So it's not much, but we were always on a shoestring budget, and we still rely somewhat on donations from the general public. We're about 80% self-sufficient, but not 100%. As for our other village, Unity Village, that was due to be moved because this post-point treatment plant was due to be expanded. But the city has now put that on hold. And so we are now being issued a 1-year extension at Unity Village, but with the same, with the extra conditions that I described before. So signing residents up for the housing pool. There's other requirements, like entering data into the state's database, homeless management information system, HMIS. I'm kind of a little worried of how we're going to pull this off, because we are an all volunteer organization, but we are now, because we're on city land, we are being held to the same standard and not just peers helping peers. We're being held to the same standard as if we were taking the millions of dollars of government money every year. And it's taken a toll. So having to do these requirements while not getting paid, while not being able to have any staff doing all this extra stuff that the city has put on us that we've never had to do before until this year. It has taken time and effort and energy away from our day-to-day stuff that we were normally doing. And so we're going to do the best we can to pull it off. But just letting you know that we have concerns, we have issues with it. But the alternative is that we say no to the deal, and then then 50 people lose their housing or their shelter. So we are doing what we can to comply amicably with the new requirements. But yeah, it's a challenge, and I'm just wondering what comes next, because at each new hoop we jump through, they come up with more. So after we have jumped through all these hoops, I expect that with this next permit with Unity Village, they're going to come up with 5 or 6 extra conditions that will be even harder. All for free, all volunteer. And so, yeah, but as for the day-to-day operations of how each village is doing, we're doing good. It's a safe, stable, happy place. We're open to the public, so anybody's free to visit either village and see for yourself how we operate. People are typically out and about and doing stuff on sunny days, or like days where it's not like rainy and gross. And so if you feel like stopping by and checking out our villages, see how it's operating, feel free to do so. And we got nothing to hide. We're an open book. Somebody else is trying to join. Okay. So that's all I have to say. Does anybody if anybody has any questions about Homes Now or Swift Haven or Unity Village? Sorry, one other thing I forgot to mention. At Swift Haven, we've begun doing monthly cleanups, and monthly cleanups meaning we've started going throughout the woods of the trails near Swift Haven. The trails right next to like Gladstone and St. Paul Street and all the way through to like where you almost get to like Whatcom Falls Park and stuff. We've been going through all the trails around Swift Haven and cleaning up garbage and stuff we find in the trails, because somebody mentioned to the neighborhood, it was like a month ago, hey, I've noticed the trails are starting to look pretty trashy. It's not. I wonder if you guys can tell the people that are trashing it, homeless people living in the woods or whatever, to clean up their mess. I responded and I said, hey, I don't think we can convince them, even if we tried. It has nothing to do with us, but I think that we could do a once a month cleanup where residents of the village, instead of our weekly meeting that we do, one meeting out of the month, instead, we're not doing our meeting this week. Let's go around and clean up trash, throw it, here's a trash bag, here's a big black trash bag. Each of you go out into the woods, fill it full, and just fill it full, throw it in the back of the truck. We take it to the dump and we clean up the trails. So we started doing that once a month. And so you will see those on our Facebook and on our, not on our website, but you'll see it on probably Nextdoor, Facebook, Reddit. We will post when we've done it. And we just are starting to do that once a month. And I think it's helped to keep the trails cleaner and stuff like that. But yeah, as I was saying right before this, if anybody has any questions about Homes Now or Swift Haven or Unity, or they want to know anything about, they can feel free to speak right now or email me at doug@homesnow.org. And we're happy to answer any questions or concerns or whatever. So if there's nobody right now that has any of those, then I will move on to the next agenda item, which is MNAC representative discussion. Kevin, so you wanted to discuss what was discussed at MNAC.
Thank you, Doug. All right, so we haven't met for a little while. So every month there is an MNAC meeting in September. Alan Mariner, city attorney, came and talked to us about the OPMA training, which stands for Open Public Meeting Act. And we are abiding by most of the rules of OPMA. Because we're not a decision-making group, we don't have to abide by everything. However, we do need to be aware of it. That all of our meetings are open to the public. By recording this is actually a very helpful suggestion that Alan had shared with us. If all of our meetings can be recorded and then posted on our website, that would be an amazingly good thing for our group.
Being done.
In October, we met, and Michael, I butchered this last name, Führer, his Walking Trees project, talked about all the trees in Whatcom County and how they're trying to reforest as much as possible. Ryan Stewart's from the parks operations just reemphasized the sentiment of how it is important to reforest our area, not forest, but trees throughout our community. And if you want to get in touch with him, please send me an email, or I'll be happy to give you his phone number, and you can talk to him about planting trees in either your property or in park areas. Tomorrow is our November MNAC meeting, and it will be in person. It will be in person and also on Zoom. And I will be attending in person at the Mayor's Boardroom, which is in City Hall. That's all the MNAC information. I recently attended the Carl Kosher Safety Concerns meeting, which was held at Carl Kosher. If you did not know, Carl Kosher had a lockdown about a week ago now, where some students were concerned for their safety, and they actually saw someone with a weapon at the bus stop off Lakeway. The PTA put together a meeting, which Kim, I don't think you're here, but the PTA put together a meeting where safety concerns were talked about and discussed, and the school board or school administration was quick to start throwing out some ideas, which was great, and they're moving forward on those things. As much community support as they can get from us, as well as anyone else, would be greatly appreciated. If you can contact the city, the police chief, or the school itself, and just offer any support that you can with regards to safety for everyone at Carl Kosher, both faculty, staff, and students, it'd be greatly appreciated.
Cool. And that's it. That's
it.
Okay. So the last part of the agenda tonight is public comment / open mic. So is there like anybody that wants to say anything about anything they want related to the Puget neighborhood that we didn't cover, or that they just want to say something? Like you can say anything you want.
I'd like to say something, please.
Yeah, sounds good.
With needing trees, I agree, we need trees. We also need to preserve our heritage trees. And one way to preserve them is to just keep your ivy out of your yards and at the bottoms of trees. And it's an easy, rewarding thing to do to keep that ivy out. So just please do that. And vinca too, and blackberry, Himalayan blackberry.
Oh, the blackberries.
Go for it.
I know about those. Yeah, but the ivy, what does the ivy do? Because I don't know. I actually don't know the harm that the ivy does. So if you want to kind of shortly explain what ivy does to tree, because I don't
way
know.
up into the height of the tree, and it completely prevents the tree from being able to
It chokes the tree.
Right. Okay. From being able to
Photosynthesis
photosynthesize properly. Okay.
Yeah, it chokes the tree. Photosynthesis stops eventually. It just will kill the tree.
Right. It doesn't
And
do
the
any
way
good.
to get rid of it is you cut up from the ground, shoulder high or so, and you don't even have to go that high. You can go about 2 feet and then go around the bottom of the tree about 3 feet.
Okay.
All the ivy, and you can preserve the tree.
Mm.
Because older trees provide more life and more oxygen than new trees. We need our old trees.
Okay.
Like on Stewart Mountain, what's going on there is something to support saving the acreage.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yep. You're welcome.
So this is open mic. So anybody that wants to say anything about anything related to the Puget neighborhood in any way, like this
Well,
is the
that
time.
one, if Liza could pull up her PowerPoint, this page that I spoke of, and
Yeah.
Anne referred to the list and Keith referred to the time it's gonna take. Do you mind pulling up that link and I'll show you where it says new?
Yeah,
Liza,
no
can you-
problem. I made her the host. So share your screen, show whatever you want.
I'll just show you. It's
Oh,
gonna be
I
very,
shared it
very
with-
transformed in our neighborhood
Right.
around, but I guess
The
it is.
slide
gonna-
with the Lincoln
Pepper.
Lakeway multimodal, that slide, Mom?
Yeah,
Okay.
if they have time.
It's your open mic moment, so they'll make time.
Open
Okay.
that up.
I think I have to open the internet. You can see my screen, right?
Yeah, we can see your PowerPoint presentation, but I'm wondering if what you are
Oh.
sharing is just the PowerPoint window
Oh,
rather than like
hang on.
the other.
Let me try again.
Yeah, no problem. Oh, it says I'm the host now, so she's gone.
I don't know what happened. Can you open it up?
I don't remember it looks like she no, okay. I don't remember the link. Like I don't have the actual link. Like
Oh, well.
and if somebody just puts the link in the chat, I could actually click on it and put it on my screen. Like that's
I'll
okay.
try, but if people don't,
But she just went away. I don't know what happened.
I imagine she did something with her internet.
Maybe like click the wrong button
Mhm.
and okay. Okay. I'm cool to show it that if we have if it's not
I'm
going to take
trying. I'm
Okay.
trying.
because if you have it,
I have it. I have it up on my screen.
Okay.
I'm trying to, if you want to share it with me.
Yep.
to show
Yep.
them.
I'll make you the host. One sec. There you go.
Okay, so share screen. What? Someone wants to be admitted.
Oh,
That's probably my daughter.
it looks like she's in already. Yeah.
And Anne was saying that we've known about this for a long time. New final report. You can just see all these plans for our neighborhood, well, and York. And Chris Como went and spoke at the York neighborhood, and he gave us some of the information we put into this presentation. So
Okay.
we felt like Puget needed to know.
No, it's good. I'm glad you guys were letting
Where,
us know.
if you can see, oh, excuse me.
And is
And
it
if you-
52 pages?
Well, the list of projects I'm trying to show you.
No, I'm just kidding about 52 pages, but maybe it's not a joke, but maybe it is. I don't know. I'm just kidding.
Maybe I'm not getting to it. I don't know it well enough to find it fast, maybe.
Okay.
But again, I'm trying to see where it would be.
Says page 57, list of final projects.
Oh, that's it. The list of final projects. That's what it was. Hey, Keith. Thank you. Can I get there fast? Or do I have to do it?
The little scroll bar on the side, if you go to that and like drag it down with your mouse or your touchpad, like it disappears when you're not scrolling, but you can actually, yeah, there you go. You got it.
I'm about,
It's near the end.
you're so patient. I think it's before this, though. Here we
Yeah,
go.
Just before.
Here we go. This is it. It's
It's 4D chess.
Here we
this
go.
time.
There are 4 pages. Rechannelize intersection to provide protected bike lanes at the intersection. Requires removal of, I don't know what WB transit queue jump. That's, I mean, we don't have time to read it, so I guess I'm suggesting that maybe you get the
You know what?
link.
Why don't you? Why
I
don't?
can give you my email if you, or
Why
Liza.
don't you send us? Why don't you send me? Because my email is doug@homesnow.org. Okay, it's if you send me this thing,
But
I
I,
will.
I did send it to you already, remember? Because it's,
I
in the
thought that what
doc-
you sent me was the shorter one, the presentation. I don't recall getting this whole plan or whatever. I might have gotten it, but if I did, I must have not read it. But if you could send it to me again, and
There's a link to the plan on the resource page of the slideshow.
okay,
It's called the Lincoln Lakeway Multimodal
okay.
Study.
Is there any way you can just put the link in the chat and then I'll add it to our website?
okay, I'll put the link in the chat.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I've got like so much going on. I just like lose track of stuff really easily. So this will be the way that it'll actually get on there rather than like, oh yeah, I'll do that. And then I can't find it and then it doesn't happen. Yeah. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Where is the, okay, you can take me from being share. I'll just put it in the chat, okay?
Oh, okay.
For
Okay.
anyone who wants to see all these things that are planned. But when we will have them come to fruition, we don't know. But for now, it's Ellis to Puget.
Okay.
I'm excited because I don't own a car, so I'm glad. And
No,
I live
and for
here in
me,
East
I'm
Area.
super glad that I have a car because I mean I've got so much going on. I have to do so many things every day, and you got to go to so many specific locations to get something done in one day. That if I didn't have a car, it's like having both hands tied behind my back, and that's
You're doing a
that's
lot
my
for the
perspective.
community. You are doing a lot for the community. Okay, there it is. If you and
Thank you.
we hope you take a look of what's happening and
Oh yeah, I'll take a look and I'll put it on our website because it's relevant. And thank you guys for presenting all of this. And I think it's important and glad that you were able to show us this.
I want to say one more thing that we
Okay.
tried to find the time for this meeting for a long time and it was difficult. And finally, like I had when I was at a walk and roll meeting, we were all looking at it together and it occurred to me, this is how I get there. I went to the contact or something, I'm not recalling, but when is the next meeting? Is it quarterly?
Yeah, generally it's quarterly. I don't exactly know the date of the next one, but we can work on getting that announced and on our website sooner than this one did. I mean, I'm pretty new to this position as president of the Puget Neighborhood Association. And sometimes it doesn't seem like there's a lot going on. So it's like, oh, when do we do these? But yeah, generally I want to do these quarterly. And I do think maybe we could get a date set up in advance sooner than what we did last time. And I think within the next, I'd say the next 2 to 3 weeks, we can have a date up on our website for next quarter.
Okay, it had been hard to find, so.
Yeah, no, it's pugetneighborhood.org. It's where it'll be announced. But yeah, like I didn't even know we were doing this until Kevin contacted me and said, hey, we should do another one. I'm like, yeah, you're right. And then, yeah, so.
Okay,
But
I'll be
yeah.
watching. I want to come to the next one.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
We appreciate it. If there isn't nothing else, I guess we're good to go.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Yep. Thanks everyone for attending.
Bye, Keith.
Have a good
Bye-bye.
evening.
Take it easy.